Hey guys, this is Tim from Techendo. We're going to be talking about Emacs today again. This week we're talking about how to use the built-in help functions. This is really cool because you don't have to actually leave Emacs to learn more about how to use it, how to find features, and get documentation for how to do things better. When I started using Emacs, I made a lot of errors. I'd press the wrong keystrokes. It would be hard to learn from that mistake. So what we're going to be talking about is searching for help about things like cut and paste, and other features, how to describe the mistakes you're making. So let's jump right into this. If you haven't already downloaded it, you can go to gnu.org/software/Emacs, install it, and this is what it's going to look like when you run it. So what we're going to be talking about is help, and help is all activated from the same set of keystrokes. It's always Control H plus something else. So I think we've talked about the tutorial before. You can get to that with Control H. You can get to a search function from Control H. And there's also a mode that just shows you all of the different help functions. So you can see if you press Control H and then question mark, it'll bring up this little dialog. And in the other buffer, there's going to be a list of all the different things we can do, which is awesome. So there's a lot of them. There's A, B, C. These are all activated with Control H plus that key. And so what you can really do is use that to find all the help functions that you need. This is also activated with Control H, Control H, and this is just a reference for help. And so you can see you can use Control H A, which is called apropos, to search for something. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to type in macro, which we haven't talked about yet, but we'll talk about later. And you'll see when you do that, they'll say a word list or a regular expression. You can type in whatever you want here. Basically, it'll find something that matches that text. So looking for things that match macros, I think we're going to find a lot of stuff, probably a ridiculous amount actually. So let's see, there's a lot of stuff here. If you want to learn more about writing macros, we'll do an episode about that later. But for now, you can use Control H A to find whatever it is you need. Okay, and so another thing that you do a lot with text editors is cut and paste. In OS 10, the commands are Command C and Command V, and those do different things in Emacs. So I'm using apropos to find help for cut, and there's a lot of things that match, but I'm looking for one in particular, so I'm just going to search for this list for the word cut. I know it's going to be way down the list. I'm sure there's probably a better way of searching for it, but here we go. So kill region, we'll kill or cut the text between mark and point, which is just a way of describing a region. And you can use that with the Control W key. That's how I do it. There's obviously other key bindings in this list, but that's the one I use the most. So let's use apropos to search for paste as well, because it's obviously going to be different than it is on OS 10 or on Windows or Linux. So here we go, yank. We'll reinsert or paste the last stretch of killed text. And I usually use the command Control Y to do this. You can do your own bindings, or you can use one of these. I just happen to use that one. Okay, so let's also talk about the other things you can do with Control H. You can get to the tutorial. We talked about this before, but if you want a way to get back into the basics of searching and moving around, copying and pasting text, I think you can probably go through this again. The other thing you can do with Emacs help is to figure out what key you pressed. I frequently find myself hitting the wrong keys and not knowing what happened. And Emacs has a rolling list of the last 300 keys you pressed. You can activate this with Control HL, and that'll just show you what you pressed. And so if you look, I pressed up and down and left and right a whole bunch. I hit Control a bunch. There's even some mouse presses, and even some spacebar. So that'll help figure out what you did most recently. Okay, so in addition to that, what you can do is use the built-in help in Emacs about key presses to figure out what a key does. So on OS 10, Command C and Command V are what you use to cut and paste by default, and those do something different in Emacs, so we should really find out what happens. So we can use the Control HK key command to get help about that. So you hold down Control, press H, and press K. You type in the key combination, which is Control C or Command C. It says it's kill ring save, which is an interactive function, which means something you can run from the keyboard, and it's bound to meta C and a few other things. Okay, so clearly that's not paste or cut. If we do the other one, Control HK, Command V, it's bound to KP prior or MV, and so it's bound to the command scroll down command, which is clearly not paste, and so that's just something that's completely different. Okay, and so that's how you learn about using Control HK to learn about key presses. So regarding modes, we haven't really talked about modes too much, but I'm going to open up a new file. I'm going to call it foo, or maybe foo2.rb, and we're going to use Emacs's built-in help to learn more about how modes work. And so modes have special key bindings that are specific to each mode, and they basically do this to make your your editor more useful. So I'm going to enter a Ruby mode here so I can have some syntax highlighting. I'm just going to print out hello world, and we're going to use Control HM to get help about this mode. And see, it tells you all the minor modes that are activated, as well as the major mode, which is Ruby, and where it's defined from, and some sort of the key presses here. Let's just focus on one of these real quick. You can use Control C, Control S to enter IRB, which is an interactive Ruby buffer. And so this gives you some amount of help here. And so there's a lot of other key presses you can use here to move around and edit text in a way that's unique for Ruby, and other modes do the same thing for other languages. But let's talk about maybe a different sort of mode. I would frequently hit Control X, Control B instead of Control X, B to switch between buffers. And this enters a special mode and a special buffer called iBuffer, which is a list of all the open buffers you have. You can see here it splits them up into sections. There's Emacs buffers, and there's a default section. You can see there's this IRB buffer open, there's a foo2 buffer open, the tutorial's open. And so you can do things in here like mark files for saving or deletion. And we can learn a bit more about that by using the Control HM command to learn about this mode, because iBuffer has its own special mode. And so it says we're in iBuffer mode right here. You can use S and A to save and view the marked buffers. You can also pipe them to a shell, which is pretty cool. But the one I use the most often is D for delete. This will kill marked buffers, which is actually incorrect. It actually marks them for deletion. So you can see I hit D on foo2.rb and on the tutorial, and now I want to actually kill those. So the command X will kill all buffers marked for deletion. If we switch back with Control XB and we hit X, it's going to prompt us for commands. Yes, we don't care about unsaved changes in foo2. No, we don't care about our place in the tutorial. And we've killed those buffers. You can imagine if you had maybe 100 files open or 300 files open, it'd be very useful to be able to go in here and delete a bunch of files really quickly. And that's how iBuffer works. And so if you have any questions, we're always open to talking about Emacs. I love talking about Emacs and learning more about it. So you should get on Freenode on the IRC server for freenode.net and join the Techendo channel. We're always on there and talking about it. So come and join us, and we'll see you next time on another How to Use Emacs. Thanks.